Hey guys, so today I wanted to, I'm going to sketch out a dream I had because it was very interesting and I liked it. And I haven't sketched in a while, but it came to me, why don't you sketch out the parameters and aspects of the dream, we should talk about it. So I haven't done this before, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to show this element here. So it was in a black and white dream, and it pretty much starts off where, and these are going to be just sketches, like think police sketches. So there was this building. It had these like little arch shapes here, right? With like little U's on the side, and it was metallic, almost like a fallout shelter, but it had windows, right? And of course a door. It was like a diner. And like I said, think like 19th, and it had a big parking lot. It had like trees. The trees here. See if I'm getting that. Okay. Oh, there we go. Diner. This way. See the diner, right? And trees there. Trees, grass, parking lot, right? Trees there, the power lines, and yeah. So do people come in? Door. So, and the rest of the parking lot, it was like black and white film noir type. I'm gonna turn it this way. I don't know why it's not doing right, but yeah. So I had this diner, and it was gray. Everything was kind of gray. It was like I said, 1940s black and white film type thing. And there were these characters, and they're very interesting. So I wanted to share these characters with you. This is one girl, her name was Teeny. Everything's backwards, but anyway, maybe it won't be when I actually finish this. And Teeny reminded me of, 1950s, 40s teeny bopper. Very sweet, idealistic, all the shit that we hate today. Anyone seeing a sweet and idealistic today is seen as stupid, and it's okay to, mess them over. It's really sad. So Teeny, she was a happy-go-lucky kind of gal, and she had like that teeny bopper ponytail, and that very nice spirited, oh my gosh, I'm so happy, guys, kind of way of being. Oops. So we had Teeny, right? And then we had a guy named Ralphus. I kid you not, his name was Ralphus. And Ralphus was like, when you think about, hey, yo, Adrienne, very much man's man, alpha guy, leather jacket, and he, of course, was into Teeny because in all these stories that aren't based in any kind of reality, this lone wolf dude not only liked Teeny, but he fell for her because she was so sweet. Because everyone just loved sweetness. They love sweetness and light. No one will ever hurt a person with sweetness and light. I think the problem with these stories, and why I'm being sort of sarcastic here, and I have the right to be sarcastic and screw anyone who doesn't like it, is that it teaches a generation of women that if you're just sweet and kind, the bad boy will always fall for you. And then it also teaches that the bad boy is of value and not the nice guy. And when I say nice guy, I don't mean those fake nice guys who cry about being nice guys or really being jerks who would treat a woman like crap. But like real nice guys, guys who actually appreciate women, see the value of women, and would treat their wives with decency and love. I know, you're the dream, right? So let's see. So then we have Ralphus. Ralphus is our quintessential bad guy. And then we had a mother figure. And the mother figure was called Mama D. And Mama D was, think, 1940s, mother, matronly figure, but she was not, she owned the diner, and she was not someone to trifle with. She was a pretty strong woman, had seen her own life scars, but she was a loving woman too, and she was very kind. The people in the diner loved her because of her presence, so Mama D, was basically someone who, again, these are just sketches, who everyone will come to. She's the one that people come to for advice, right? Because she was the kind of person that she tell you like it was straight, right? But she would do it out of love, not out of being mean-spirited. Like, she looked at life as, honesty is the best gift you can give a person. So she was highly respected and adored in the community, and she could cook on top of all that. So there you go, right? So that's Mama D. And then there was one interesting character there, and she was Southern, but she was a Southern Asian woman. And the reason why I love Sinners 2 is I met Southern Asian women, and people don't seem to understand that, when you grow up in an area, you're going to get the dialect and the accent of the area you grow up in. It's not like people don't understand that your dialect isn't an inborn thing. It's something that is created around you, right? Like I met a Black woman once, and she grew up in Japan. And so she's a Black lady aesthetic and everything, but she had a very soft Asian way of speaking and being, and people thought she was putting on airs. I'm like, no, she grew up in Asia, dude. How do you expect her to act? People are very limited way of looking at things like race, culture, heritage. A lot of these things are taught. That's why I don't like the term interracial, because it's limiting. Like when you talk about interracial marriage or the kids are mixed, I say they're mixed heritage. They're not mixed because both parents are human. That kind of stuff drives me crazy. But anyway, yeah, she was a beautiful Asian girl, but she had a thick country Southern accent. And so what was going on was, what's his name? Ralphus came to the diner and met Teenie. And right across the street, there was some kind of film production going on. And our darling girl, what was her name? I think it was something like Jade. And Jade was, she was a aspiring actress. And there was some filming going on. And so she was wanting to go and audition. But for some reason she wanted to talk to Mama D about it. And Mama D was very encouraging, told her to do it and everything. But even though she got the encouragement, she just kept feeling some kind of way about going and auditioning. And it was so weird because it was like everything was great. It was rainy. It had this 1950s, 70s feel. Felt so real too. But of course, it wasn't one of my prophetic hag dreams or my sleep paralysis dreams because it didn't have those hallmarks. But yeah, it was just very, very interesting. And I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm going to sketch out these people that I saw in my brain. I haven't done any real sketching in ages. And It may help me process this dream. I am the kind of person that when anything ever happens, because I'm a writer and a creative, I process it, and I process it psychologically. I write a lot of psychological thrillers. You know why? Because that's how my brain works. What I don't like is people always try to put people in a box of how they should respond to things, right? And that's usually them being controlling. You can't tell people how to respond to things. Some people write poetry, some people paint, some people sing. I do a combination of writing. I do it through art, but I also do it through I process through writing. And if I have a page that's mine, I'm going to process my ideas and thoughts on my page. And if somebody doesn't like the way I process stuff, they can get the hell off my page. They don't have to be on my page. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and people even try to pathologize. How do you say pathologize? I don't know how to say, but they try to make everything. They try to tie everything to some kind of harmful psychology. Oh, if you're doing that, you're like a narcissist. They don't even know what narcissism is. You know, a narcissist, what the main trait of a narcissist that you can always look at to see if a person's narcissistic. A person who's narcissistic needs a mirror. Of the cluster B psychology types, a narcissist is the only one that needs a mirror. And they need it like to the point where they can't sleep, eat, drink without it once they find a mirror that really mirrors them back. So if you're a person who doesn't need a mirror, guess what? You're not a narcissist. You have to be a narcissist, to be classified as a narcissist needs a mirror. Point blank. Cluster B personality types. Psychopaths don't need mirrors. Sociopaths don't need mirrors. Only narcissists need mirrors. People need to stop claiming that every bad trait is narcissism. No, narcissism is a combination of traits, and among them, the need and desire to have a mirror. Which is why the term narcissism was coined. Someone having a need to explain themselves, they may have low self-esteem or whatever, but that's not narcissism. People who want to shut people up, who want to control them, control how they emote, will try to label anything that they don't like about the person under a certain kind of umbrella that person feels like they don't want to do that because maybe that's their Samson hair. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say Samson hair, their strength may be that because they process how they feel, that might be their way of being able to get beyond and past it. So if you take away their ability to do that, making them, shaming them into feeling like it's wrong, then they don't have that superpower anymore. Then you can swoop in and treat them like anything, and because they don't have what they normally use to process their pain, now it's easier to manipulate them, isn't it? So my thing is, the moral of this story is, Dre kept trying her best to get validation from someone else on whether she needed to do something. And she went to somebody who she in the neighborhood trusted. But the reality was Jay should just do what Jay wants to do. No one should be sitting around trying to figure, is it okay for me to write how I feel? Is it okay for me to be super analytical? Is it okay for me to be quiet? Is it okay for me to be loud? You know what? If you're not hurting anybody, be you. And let people try to categorize it any way they want to. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do, if you don't analyze, they'll be saying it. If you leave, they'll give you crap. If you stay, to give you crap. If you stay in abusive, I heard a situation where someone said someone's going to be a jellyfish for not staying in an abusive relationship. You heard that right. You're a jellyfish if you don't stay in an abusive relationship. Ain't that something? And so I'm like, dude, it takes more strength to leave something abusive than to remain in it. That kind of backwards, upside down world psychology, I guess it works on some people. But it angers me to no end because these manipulators got people out here going in circles trying to figure out what they need to do for themselves. And my whole thing is just do what you need to do for you. Do what you need to do for you. And let people label it the way that they may. Because anyone's going to label something that's positive for you and a negative. A good example, I had somebody try to say that I posted about how I gave to a charity. And I normally don't do this, and a few times I have done it, people jump on you, right? For example, I sponsored a child all the way up to the age of 18. I had correspondence with that girl. She was, I was kind of saddened at one point when she ended up getting pregnant at 16. But she ended up going to school. She graduated school, and she was studying to be like a receptionist type of, like a secretary, administrative assistant. Yeah. And so she was trying to get her life going and all that stuff. So I got to learn this person and stuff. But at one point, the organization was like, "Hey, post a blog about your experience, so we can drum up numbers on, and you get more people to, you know, you're part of this." So I did. And you'd be surprised how many people are like, who you trying to do? What you trying to prove? In all the years that I tried to help or correspond with this young lady, I did not say anything about it, because I don't feel that when you do things for people, you should be broadcasting it, because then you're being performative. I wasn't trying to do that because I want people to think, oh, great. I did it because I always said to myself, if I could ever do it, I'd do it. Because growing up poor and knowing that, you don't have anyone there in your corner, it's tough. You have to develop a means to survive, and it hardens you. I wanted to give someone else a chance to feel cared about in a way that I didn't feel like I got when I was young. So I didn't want to put her under a microscope and look at how good I am, because I was doing that, right? But I figured, well, they were saying, okay, let's drum up some business or get people to help these young girls and young boys in these different countries. And so as soon as I did that, look at somebody trying to prove how good they are, da 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 da, right? Now, the one thing I found is that when people do that, selfish, mean-spirited people like to tear down what people who have a conscience and empathy do, because it allows them to continue to be selfish pricks. When you can say, hey, you're only doing it to feel good about yourself. You know what? Nothing happens in a vacuum. Of course, you're going to feel some kind of happiness for helping people, because we are made to be, we're pack animals, we're social animals. So when we interact, we're going to feel some kind of emotion. No one does anything in a vacuum. And to me, the fact that you feel happy about it indicates you're doing it from a positive, good place, as opposed to someone who goes, God, I hate doing this charity shit. What are you supposed to feel when you're doing something positive? A void, a vacuum, angry, nauseous? I mean, shit. So my thing is, no, it's just selfish ass people trying to validate being selfish asses. And then because to me, they have felt sort of pinpricked by their own selfishness. So the automatic thing is to go, well, you're only doing it to feel good about yourself. Well, I feel good what I'm doing. I'm not trying to feel good about myself, but I'm very happy and joyful about the idea that I get to do something that's positive in someone's life. So yes, I'm getting some positive benefit out of it. That doesn't make what I'm doing totally not valid. And yeah, I could be like pricks who do shit just for show, don't give a shit about the people they're doing anything about, don't care, don't feel, don't have no happiness or nothing. But to me, that's 10 times worse. And so, yeah, again, do what you want to do. If you want to be someone who helps with charities, be someone who helps with charities. If you want to go try to make a better world for somebody, make a better world for somebody. If you can try, and there's lots of different things I do. But again, I'm a private person. I ain't trying to prove shit to nobody. So if somebody wants to believe that because they don't get to see me going around doing Meals on Wheels or whatever they think I'm not doing, let them think it. Again, when you do these things, you're not doing it for, you shouldn't be doing it for applause anyway. You should be doing it because, like, as my friend AJ said, he did it to give back after he went through a bad time. He started doing holiday meals for people who needed food and stuff. And more than that, AJ was a very good guy who helped people because he understood what it was like to be in a situation where he didn't have anyone with him when he was poor. And I find too that the majority of people who do have an instinct for charity are people who were poor and went through shit themselves, because they understand. I think there was even a study that showed that rich people tend to be less altruistic and giving than poor people. That poor people will put more money into a beggar's cup than a rich person would. That's because we understand what it's like to struggle. We understand what it's like to be down and out. And so we're not going to pass by someone we see in need, right? And that's just the way, and that's the way it should be. We should be out there trying to help each other. But we should, part of that is trying to make sure that if someone's going to do something, they're doing something positive out of it, But yeah, so I guess as I write this, I think the dream was about, someone actually understanding that even when you respect someone's opinion, right? Even when you respect someone's opinion, still do what you're doing for you, right? What if Mama Dia said, no, don't be an actress, get a real job? What if Mama Dia said that, but she wanted to be an actress? Would she have listened? That would have been unfortunate, in my opinion, because she, Jade should do whatever Jade wants to do. So anyway, yeah, let's do teeny. So all that to say, live your life, and do what you do. If you're an analytical person, be analytical. If you're not, you're not. If you're a person who likes to be an intellectual, be an intellectual. If you're not, you're not. If you like to read books, read the hell out of some books. If you don't like to read books, you like movies, watch the hell out of some movies. If you like to dance, dance. If you don't, don't. If you like to wear your hair pink and purple and blue, wear it pink and purple and blue. If you like to wear it blonde and straight with no unnatural colors, don't do that either. What I'm sick and tired of are people who try to measure what they should or should not do, but what they would or would not do. And to me, that's fucked up. Bitch, get your own lane, pick your own shit, leave people the fuck alone, and let them decide for themselves what they want to do. We got way too many people out here who think that they have the one way of doing something that makes people happy, and that they want to preach and proselytize on it. It's like the AI thing, right? I got people climbing all over my feed, screaming about how I shouldn't use AI. You know why I use AI? Because AI helps me get stuff done faster. Before, when I tried to do an episode, it would take me a month to do one episode. Now, because I can use AI for mocap, special effect, and all this stuff, it takes me roughly a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's cut in half, right? And so my thing is, I'm doing it for my own reasons. My reasons are mine. I don't have to validate or explain myself to people who don't even understand what I'm doing. Half the people trying to tell me what to do aren't even in the business. Even though it's in the business, okay, you don't use it, fine. If you decide you don't want to use it, fine. I'm going to use it. You're not going to shame me into it. You're not going to, spot me into it, not using it. You're not going to make me feel bad about it with passive aggressive stuff. You don't care about humanity. If they really cared about humanity, they wouldn't be going at, or artists. This is the biggest thing I don't get. They care so much about artists, but they're coming after a solo artist with years in the business and trying to put me out of business for using AI when the computational aspect of it when it comes to resources is far less than Pixar or even streaming on Netflix. As was pointed out, streaming 4K takes way more resources than me doing a few iterations on Midjourney. So if they really felt that way, what would they be doing? They'd be going after Pixar. They'd be going after Disney. They'd be going after the big guy. They'd be going after what's the name of that one company? Runway. And these companies that actually build these things. No, the reality is these are people who probably, not to go all conspiracy theory, but who probably are somewhat associated with large businesses or corporations. And they're trying to put the indies out of business and using the outrage du jour to do it. And it's in my opinion, very, very obvious they're doing that shit. Because if it was all about helping artists, they wouldn't be coming after small artists, trying to remain competitive in a field that's constantly changing. The reason why I survived 15 years in this business is because whenever it changed, I changed with it. And that's what you got to do. So if they're saying, hey, boss, we need AI, well, guess what? I'm an AI learn and last. And if these people aren't coming with solutions, well, here's something you can do to stay competitive. Here's something you can do to keep your own lights on. Here's something you can do that could help you in the long run. If they're not coming like that, they need to get out of my face. Because unless they got an alternative to AI in this world, they can get to stepping. But I like the fact that it makes me able to do things faster and cleaner and everything. So I guess the eternal message is, fuck the dumb, do you, no matter what somebody says, no matter how many algorithms, how many videos, no matter how many passive aggressive swipes, no matter what they try to say, if you're a jellyfish or not, because you won't stay and be abused the fuck all out. A person with a spine walks away from something that doesn't benefit them. Full stop. Anyone who tries to tell you that you're not strong enough to deal with their bullshit, as a manipulator who is never going to give you anything positive. All they're going to do is stress you out and drain you. And then when you're in a mental facility with a self-hugging white jacket in a white room, they're going to move on to the next person. They won't give you two thoughts. And they'll just say, oh, that person was weak, ha ha. Well, I recall a situation when I was young. And this is before I even realized people could be this diabolical and evil, where these two guys were laughing about this girl that the guy got pregnant, and she became suicidal, and because he left her, and she was in a mental institution, and they were laughing. And I said something about how evil that was, and they gave me shit, right? But I'm just saying, there are people like that in the world. They'll put you to the brink of suicide. They'll leave you pregnant. They'll leave you penniless. They'll laugh about that shit. So at the end of the day, you do what you need to do. Take care of yourself, your family, the people that care about you, and fuck the dumb. And if anyone has anything to say about it, 9 times out of 10 people have anything to say about how you live your life and the choices you make, those people have an agenda. And that agenda almost always involves them trying to fuck you over. Full stop. Full stop. And people can say whatever they want to about these words. I give 2 flying fucks. And that's all I gotta say here. I think that's my teeny thing. But yeah, that's teeny. This is Mama D. Mama D. Ooh, shit's falling. Ralphus. Easy, I don't know if this is Ralphus. Mediner. Looks like some kind of a trailer. That's what it looked like. Jade. Our indecisive Jade. All right. So that's all I gotta say. At the end of the day, I guess my message is, let's try to be positive when it comes to who we are and how we roll. People are going to try to shame you no matter what you do. But as long as you love yourself, as long as you understand who you are, good and bad, I have my faults. Lord, I have my faults. I work on those every day. I try, and when I mess up, I forgive myself and I continue on. If I have done something to harm a person, I apologize. I don't apologize with the idea they have to forgive. They can forgive or not forgive. But at the end of the day, we all are human beings full of fault. But we all have cultivated our own way of dealing with life, tragedy, and whatever way that you deal with it is your way. Painting, dancing, singing, analyzing, right? Like I said, if somebody tries to take a tool away from you that you use to process your pain, that person is trying to undermine your process. They're trying to hurt you, and they have no good intentions for you. And that's the way I see that. And when a person shows you who they are, what did Maya Angelou say? Believe them the first time. And believe me, I don't let nobody have a second chance to fuck me over. As soon as they show me who they are, boy, you got to get to stepping. When I was young, I used to waste my time doing that bullshit. I don't do it anymore, because you can waste 2, 5, 3, 10 years of your life, and then you're too old to get much done. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't wait for the but baby, or you're being weird, you're being mean, you hurting my phase, or whatever they're gonna tell you. Fuck that shit. Fuck them. And that's all I gotta say. Bye-bye.
Voice in the fog.